Hi everybody, welcome to Project Misfit TV. Today I'm talking to the lovely Edyta Boyle, who is a career advisor and coach. She's been teaching careers management for a number of years now, for over 8 years in a college, and her main focus is on helping dynamic women in hospitality leadership, but she also will or supports other women with who are finding their next step in their career. So I invited Edyta to come talk to us today about the topic of embracing your misfit in video interviews. So Project Misfit really started with a campaign I did this summer, which was sharing the stories about the times when we felt we didn't really fit in. We're in perhaps work cultures or environments, and we hear messages about how we need to tone down our difference, how we need to be a certain way to fit in around here. And part of the campaign was about how we can switch the message on difference. So I always start these interviews by asking our guest, Edyta today, to share her Project Misfit story. So Edyta, are you happy to tell us tell us about the time you heard a message that made you feel like you needed to be a certain way to fit in?
Yeah, of course. So that was one day. That was possibly maybe 3 years ago. That was one of those rainy days, and I remember I wake up later to work. So I was really rushing to work, going to college, because I knew that I had a class at 9 o'clock and I had to be there for 9 o'clock. So you can imagine it's been really quite a miserable day, and I was late and I was rushing and things like that. And I remember I walked into the class and the class was full of students. And I remember also that class had no windows, it was just one of those classrooms. And I walked in stressed and harassed because I've rushed all morning. And I started my tutorials. I started to do, I think I was CV workshops at that time I was running with that group of students. And so I am in the middle of tutorial and it's going well. And suddenly one of the students said to me, "Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to learn about careers management? I'm here for the qualifications. I'm not here for learning that stuff." And I remember that was a moment for me just to realize, oh my goodness, I love what I do. I'm not sure if I'm being appreciated, and it's time for me to move on. Time for me to find people who I can help and find people who I can give my skills and talents. And that was really a powerful moment when I realized that I need to do something about it. So I did. I've researched what can I do about my coaching qualification, and started the journey towards coaching, started the journey towards change.
That's amazing. And now that's what you help other people do as well, when they're perhaps in environments where they're feeling like perhaps they're not thriving where they are, or they're not giving or receiving as much value or recognition for the work and effort that they're putting in, and they're feeling like it's time to make that change. So how would you switch the message so that what would be the message that you would want to have heard in that situation? So what would you like your students to be saying to you instead of what you did here?
I would love him to say, "What a wonderful workshops! How much knowledge I got from this! How much information I got from this! It will be so useful when I finish this course, and I will go out at the job market." So I would love to do that. It was amazing, and I helped him a lot.
Yeah, so that real appreciation and recognition for the things that you are doing, and you are actually helping them to thrive in the real world when they go out and have to search for a job and a
Mm,
career. But
yeah,
now,
I do, but they don't see this at this time and moment. They
mm,
concentrate on their qualifications, and they're receiving the paper, which
mm,
is, I understand that I've been there in a way.
mm,
No, I wanted to complete the course. I didn't think where the course will take me. I wanted to complete the course.
yeah, that kind of limited view of, well, we're here to do one thing
Mm.
and that's it. But now, of course, you do help people that want to be helped through your coaching. So how does it feel when you get that appreciation and recognition of
Mm.
somebody who actually values what you do?
It feels amazing. It really does. I mean, I feel like I give something, and I'm passionate about giving things, giving away my talents and skills and my knowledge, because
Mm,
I believe I've got so much knowledge, so much passion for this subject, and so much positive energy that many of my clients feel that, and they know that that they appreciate me, and that means
mm.
so much to me.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And are you happy to share like a testimonial that you've gotten? Like what has somebody said about actually working with you?
Yeah, so I recently worked with one of the women. She works in hospitality as a reception manager, and she, of course, the situation, we know what the situation is. So she needed to change. So before she come to me, we started to work together. She struggled on job interviews. She says, I just go to jobs interviews, I waste this time, energy, and I'm not getting anywhere. She says, I'm doing those interviews, I'm being rejected. What am I doing wrong? Like, and
Mm,
I'm doing those interviews, but I'm not feeling good about myself when I get rejections.
mm,
So she's been really as she's realized that she needs help with that. She says, "What am I doing wrong?" Because she kind of she knew that she's good at her job, and she was a young, energetic woman with full of energy, people skills, and she knew that she could do more.
mm,
So we started to work together, and she had such an eye-opening experience. One of the things that she's realized, she says, I've been getting so many times this question about a leadership style, like what type of leader, how do I motivate the team? And she says, I've just realized that I haven't done the homework on this. I never thought what type of leader I am. So
mm,
that was one of the eye-opening moment for her. It's like, oh my goodness, so I've been leading this team for the past 8, 10 years. Never had opportunity to think what type of leader I am and what type of leadership I give to people.
mm,
There was also she also had an eye-opening moment when we talk about how to answer questions, and she was really quite quite surprised that actually she says to me, I've been going to those jobs interviews, and I knew when I started to answer a question that their face the interview
mm,
stopped because I wasn't saying what he wanted me to say.
mm.
So so we did work together, and she was really happy. She's on her way now to getting interviews and going for interviews. So I'm waiting to hear from her how she will do. So excited to hear good news.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's so easily done, isn't it? That we are doing our jobs, just like we're busy in our real lives and we're busy in our job, that we don't necessarily take the time to reflect on what type of leader we are, or on those things that will, our achievements that will necessarily then that we can tell future employers about, because we're just too busy in it, doing it, to have that space for reflection.
And that's right. That's exactly what she was doing. She's been doing her job, not reflecting, not realizing how wonderful she is, how many achievements she has got, because I believe we all have so much to offer, but we don't recognize that. Or we're not used to talking about ourselves in a positive. Seen this so many times. I'm just like, tell me your strengths. Oh, I don't have strengths, or I don't know. Like, I see this in students, I see clients, and I'm just like, we almost not used to talk about ourselves in a positive light.
Yeah, definitely, and sometimes it can be quite people can give quite generic answers on those things, like when you're asked in the interview, because you've not really thought about it, or you don't really know and believe it, so you sometimes just say something really generic, which doesn't then really do yourself justice.
And that's one of the biggest problem. People answers. So imagine if you are interviewing people, you've got a day full of interviews, and you interview one candidate after another, and you hear more or less the same answers. How the heck you're going to feel after those interviews?
Yeah.
If you have somebody who actually done a homework on themselves, really dig into their experience and skills, you are like, wow, this person is different. Doesn't matter that maybe doesn't have qualifications that we want, but I'm going to give her a chance because there's something about her that I love. She's took time. First of all, she's took time to prepare for that interview. I'm going to give her a chance.
Yeah, definitely, and that's really what we want, isn't it? That when we put the work in, and that we are qualified, not necessarily qualified with qualifications, but we're capable and got the potential to do a job, that you're given a chance. And it's not always the case that and there are some people that are just really good at interviews and they ace an interview. I've certainly been there. They've been so good at the interview and then not necessarily been great at the job, whereas you've got some great people who just don't have the interview skills, and therefore being on the interviewer side, you don't know the difference. So if you don't know them, you've never met them before, you're just meeting them at the interview, you've got to judge it on their performance there, which is really tough.
Interview is like pulling the bunny out of the hat.
Oh, I like that. Finding the magic.
So we need to remember that there's a risk involved in hiring people as well. Hire cost a lot.
It does, yeah. It's a time investment, and as well as a real financial investment, that there is a real need for employers to get it right. And
yes, exactly. I've seen that example in my husband, for example. Somebody, and he's sold himself so well at the job interview, and then the story has started.
Oh yeah, and I guess in a lot of what we talk about in this space, in my group, and in the work that I do with Fierce Project Management is on empowering women and underrepresented groups, and for different reasons, but it's often found that women and people from underrepresented groups, different ethnicities and things, tend to be less willing or good at, or they tend to self-promote less, so sell their skills less than other people, than the majority of people that are the men, for instance. They tend to be better or more often at at saying why they're really good at things, and it tends to be
Mhm.
more of a norm and expected.
Yeah, like I'm less represented. So, for example, like I am a migrant worker. You know, I came here with no English and to learn, and yeah, it's a lot of that. Like I see this again, so many students and my clients, people who came to different country. They are, yeah, they not always shine as they should.
Yeah,
They,
yeah,
I believe they have so much to offer. They're hardworking. They're determined most of the time. They want to make make a decent living, and they know that they don't have really maybe family who are supporting. But a lot of them are ambitious and want to more. But yeah, we quite often think, oh, you know, am I good enough? Am I, you know, I just came from different country. I don't know. And yes, lots of that time you see.
yeah. And I
They
think
almost
when
don't believe that they could have.
yeah, and I think so. I use the word like misfit as like in a positive way. I think it's a good thing to be a misfit, but it's that feeling of when you do not quite fit in around here and you're different, that it can knock your confidence as well. Like, so I
Mm,
work with a lot of women in male dominated industries, and we're kind of used to being the only woman in the room, um, or the only person of color in the room, or a migrant who's in the room, and there aren't many other people like you in that work environment, and you
mm,
hearing those different messages perhaps can knock confidence, and then just
mm,
feeling like you're different might,
mm,
and some of the cultural norms around, some people need to, like, women need to be more modest than men, all of that can
mm,
play out how we then feel comfortable to one really
mm,
even know our strengths and the good things that we do ourselves, and not undersell it to ourselves, but then also tell other people, which in an interview is of course what it's all about.
mm. That's right. That's right. That's all true.
And so when we get to interviews, um, given that we might be feeling like we're a misfit and that we're different, but often in an interview you feel like you've got to show up and be a certain way and not
Yeah.
necessarily share those things that make you different and
Yeah.
make you shine.
And
So how can you embrace your misfit in an interview, or do you have to be really professional and be a certain way
mm,
to get by? How do you find that balance?
yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. Lots of people tell you different.
Mm.
I strongly believe being yourself. It's so important, but um, showing the good side of you, um, rather than the bad side, but good side of you, and be yourself, and really um, don't just take any opportunity that is given to you, because
I,
it's all. Mhm.
I was going to say, when we've spoken before, you used the amazing phrase, which really stuck with me, is "Don't be a job beggar."
Yeah, yeah, very important. Very important. I'll tell you a little bit of my story. Like, I when I was making a career change from hospitality into careers development, I went to 6 jobs interviews, and I was rejected after every interview. On a 7th job interview, I've been lucky. I eventually got an offer, and I remember I was very happy. I accepted that offer straight away. But I didn't do any research. I didn't. It's just the most important thing for me to make a change at that time.
Mm.
When I've to make that change, I've realized, oh my goodness, as it's not always about that. Like I'm so against taking the first offer given to us. so against. I'm so against being a job beggar. And just going to those jobs interviews and being begging for a job, because I do believe, especially when you are in a position that you are already in a leadership role, you kind of came to the certain level of your career. You don't need to be a job beggar. You've got so much to offer, so many amazing skills, that you don't need to beg for a job. They will be lucky to have you. All what you do is really work on how to sell yourself, how to talk about yourself with confidence, how you talk about your strengths, what you're really good at, what you stand for. And interviewers will notice this, employer will notice this, that you are not begging. They don't want a beggar. They want to fall in love in you. And the moment you got into the job interview, they know that you could do the job. You can do that job when you're walking into the interview. So they want to fall in love. They're waiting for that. But there are so many people going as a job beggars, shaking, stressing, not really talking about yourself in confidence, and have to choose kind of the best one out of those candidates.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got to have that, like having that confidence and that passion and that like unwavering belief in the impact that you'll make if you got that job. But also makes it as a chance for you to ask them questions and it be a two-way conversation, so that you're not begging for a job, as you say, but actually you're using that as an opportunity to see if you even want to work there and in that team and in that organization.
That's right.
Yeah, but particularly in this environment that we're in now, where economic markets are taking a downturn, there's lots of redundancies, lots of people on furlough, lots of people who can't work in the jobs that they were before, and unemployment is going up. It can feel a lot harder because lots of good candidates are now out there vying for the same jobs. So do you believe that you can still not be a job beggar in the current climate?
Yeah, I always say the best position is to look for something new from the position that you're employed. Because then it's just, if you don't have incomes coming in and you're really struggling to pay a mortgage, sometimes you cannot be, you cannot allow yourself to be a, job
As
beggar,
picky,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, picky. Yeah, exactly. So, of course, that sometimes you need to accept that the job that is giving you. But I've seen this. I've seen this as well, that people are getting jobs. Okay, they are getting. It's not that as nothing is happening. They are certain
Yeah,
industry that they are thriving in this.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
but
think that's important to remember as well, because we hear so much news of, people, like all the negatives of what's happening is actually that people are getting jobs, people are still hiring, and even though it is competitive, people are getting good jobs, and
yes.
like in our community, the Fierce Project Management allyship, we've heard some really good examples where people have even now got opportunities that they've really wanted. So it is important to remember that, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm hearing people, it's not that people not going to job interviews. I see this, people are going for jobs and people getting offers,
Yeah.
even though the media and people around us telling us that we've got a recession and stuff like that. But there's also people who are getting jobs, and sometimes it's an excuse for some people not to do anything. Recession is the biggest excuse for not to do anything.
Yeah, that's so true. Because we can easily say to ourselves, oh, you know, it's not the right time to move on. Like, it, particularly if you're in like a fairly secure job, then you might think, oh, I won't move on because I'll just make do where I am. But actually, if you feel it's the right time for you to move on, you can still look and see what's out there, and it is really possible still to make that change to things that are better and that are more right for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to say about this woman that I work with. So talking about if it's good to accept any job. I'll give you an example. I've been working with this woman, and she lost a job in hospitality, and then she started to work in a new place. It was a contract work, so fixed term, but there was possibility to be extended, and it was extended. But after 3 months, even before 3 months, actually, she's realized, oh my goodness, I'm so bored. As I took this job only because I had to. So it's giving me income, it's giving secure my mortgage. But what the heck is this? What I know I could do better. I know I could do more. And there will be lots of people in this situation. They'll be accepting jobs, they'll be getting jobs. But is it about getting any job or just a job or a right job?
And yeah, exactly. That's so important to remember, because it's no point if we can just going from one place where we're perhaps not happy and not thriving to another, where we can make those choices. So what would you say, what would be your top tips for people that are going for video interviews now? So like, perhaps some people have been in jobs for a really long time and haven't had an interview for ages. I know I've been there, and then when I got an interview, I was like, oh gosh, it's been so long, I can't even remember interviewing skills. But then also now the environment's different, so it's interviewing video now. So what would be the top tips that you would give somebody interviewing who's not had an interview for a while, or that they keep, or that they're looking now and they're going for video interviews and feeling that that's quite a different environment?
My tip number one is prepare. Preparation. Especially if you're going for higher up jobs. When you have certain level of experience and you're going for the higher level jobs or moving into another sector, I mean, you have to prepare, because you need to almost do a bigger homework on yourself. So my biggest tip would be prepare. And I'm seeing this often. People saying, oh, just go and see. Oh, I've got an experience. I just go and experience the interview. But what they don't see is that if they reject it, they wonder whether they're good enough, whether they are ever going to make it. So even though it's an experience and it's great to have that interview experience, why not prepare yourself, show what you've got to offer, wait for the offer, and then choose if this offer is for you. Choose. So so preparation is the key to whole process.
Yeah. What would you say is like different about the video interview compared to an in-person interview?
What's different? Well, we don't see a person. We don't see face to face. We communicate via technology, right? So
Yeah.
for many people, it's an obstacle. Not used to, because we're not used to. It came to us almost out of nowhere. I mean,
Completely. Yeah.
video interviewing, it's been existing. It's nothing new, but it's even more, and you could see that, in current circumstances, as is becoming even more and more of the daily recruitment kind of thing, rather than inviting people into to the face to face, and see this as well as a future, as a goal, because they are also now pre-recorded interviews. So basically, maybe a couple questions to ask. They are platforms, viewing platforms out there. So, for example, if you go into the pre-recorded interview, you've got a couple questions to answer, and they can select straight away who can who goes to the next. And that's quite safe, time-saving practice, definitely.
Yeah, so they don't, like, for the recruiters and the employers, they're not having to sit through all the live interviews. But yeah, one of my clients told me they did that, and that was just like, oh gosh, I never even thought about that. So yeah, it's very different.
Imagine in the past you inviting somebody to the interview. Interview is more or less half an hour, 40 minutes. Straight away that this person is not going to go. And then you have to sit 40 minutes on interview that person. So can you imagine the time saving for the employers? For us, in a way.
That's true as well. Yeah, because you might decide that you don't like the company, or it's not for you. You don't have to carry it on. So that's really important as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
And so you're running a masterclass soon to help people that are going through this process with the things that they really need to know, and give them the skills to do well at interviews online. So tell us a bit more about your masterclass.
So I'm running a masterclass, in successful video interview masterclass on 19th of November at 11 a.m. UK time. And this is 1 hour masterclass. So during this time, what I want to achieve through that, I want to help you be more confident in going for those job interviews, interviews. And I also want to kind of give you some of my secrets and tips, what to be yourself, what to do to be yourself at the job interview, and really speak who are you and what you can offer. So that's what I'm. So yes, I'm going to give you some tips and secrets what to do on a job interview, so you can show who you are, because it's not about pretending. It's about knowing I want that job. I want this opportunity because I know how this opportunity will benefit my longer term goals.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I was going to say it's so incredibly powerful to have those skills. And I was just remembering a story that I had actually of after my maternity leave. Actually, I hadn't had an interview for a while, and so I felt, and actually I'd been doing a job for ages, so I hadn't interviewed for ages. But then on top of having had my maternity leave, my confidence was knocked. I'd barely spoken to an adult, let alone had to do an interview. And then, I mean, I did one when I came back, but then I went out in the real world. I left my company, I took my redundancy, and I was interviewing for contract positions and permanent positions as well. And a couple of things that, like, if I had you in my life, that I would have done differently. But like, two little stories that I just want to share. One was that I was looking for something flexible. I'd already worked flexibly before I had my son, but it was even more important to me now. And I would lead with, I want flexibility. And therefore, then I wouldn't hear back from the people that I was talking to, because that wasn't their norm. They were like, this is a job 9 to 5, even if they said something different. So I found that a lot harder. than I might have otherwise. But now I know I would do things differently because I almost felt like I was job begging to get that flexibility, because I was like, and I felt like I was my value must be less now because I'm less, because I don't want to work on their terms. I want to work on mine. So I think like what I know now and what you could have helped me with was knowing my value and really connecting with my value, that I would have led with that and mentioned the flexibility later on in the process, and more of a negotiation. So that's one thing that I just think so incredibly powerful, when you know your worth, that you don't fall into that trap of feeling like you have to compromise.
Yeah, begging and competing as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be, and also that thing of actually interviewing them to know that you even want to work there or not. Like,
exactly.
and
there are companies out there that are brilliant to work for.
yeah,
Companies are there that you just want to maybe avoid.
yeah,
At the
exactly.
end of the day, you're committing. If this is not a project work, I'm talking about kind of long-term contract. You're 2 years, like
Yeah.
because kind of commit. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, and how many times people went to the company just like, oh, I don't like the company. I actually like their job, but I don't like the company. People out there, in there, they like what type of people that company attracts. Kind of is a traditional type of views people, or is more kind of vibrant, modern. There's lots about that people don't pay attention to, but it doesn't matter whether we're satisfied or not.
Hugely. And I think what you say about preparing and doing your research is so powerful. But I know when I was in those situations, I didn't know how to prepare, so I would avoid it and procrastinate. But like having somebody like you who could have helped me at that time would have been so incredibly powerful. And then
Because,
sorry.
sorry, no, yeah, yes.
No, carry on.
I'm just saying because it's really difficult to do it yourself. It's really difficult to do it yourself because you know you should be doing, but time is running. It's just there's other things comes along, and it's almost there's no space for unless into that space.
Yeah, exactly. And like we kind of said before, like if you're busy concentrating on doing a good job, doesn't mean that you necessarily have the skills to interview, because that's a different skill set. So it's okay to ask for help and learn how to do it. And the other example I just wanted to share, like through that similar time period, is that when I did get to an interview, and I just remember one question I got asked, as a project manager, I got asked about how, and a lot of the people in the group will know that, so I'm in the construction industry and the railway industry. Lots of people in our group, and we talk about this, will know that sometimes they expect you to have some engineering knowledge and understanding. And if you're not an engineer, even though you don't have to be one to be a project manager, that can come under some scrutiny. And so that was what was happening in this interview. And I got asked, can you read technical drawings? And at the time, because I couldn't remember that I could read technical drawings because I don't have an engineering degree. I was like, well, no, I can't read them. But then afterwards, I was talking to my friend, who I've worked with, and she was like, of course you can read technical drawings. You've been reading them in your job. Just because you're not an expert at it doesn't mean that you can't do it. And so that just reminded me that I was underselling my own skill set, because I was like, because they were asking me, like, do I have a basic skill set in being able to read a drawing? And I was saying, oh, no, I think you're asking me if I'm you're expecting me to have an engineering qualification, and I don't have that. So I kind of focused on that negative rather than what I could do, and remembering even what I could do.
Yeah,
So,
and we need to remember as well. I've done a bit of research on this as well, that if you pass the interview stage, if you are on interview, somebody believed that you could do that. You can do this job. So if somebody already knew that you can do this job, It's just they wanted to meet you and see the personality, see if they can work with you, see if you can fit in. It's like online dating in a way.
Yeah.
See the photo of somebody on you online dating. You're looking for a woman or a guy.
Mm.
You see the photo, you see description. It's like, oh, he looks nice, she looks nice. The description look nice. Let's go out and see if I like. And then you meet them in person, and then you realize, not really for me. Or, wow, and that's exactly how it works.
That's amazing. I love that analogy and that connection. Like it has got like that idea that is from both sides as well. It's like not
Yeah,
just one-sided.
definitely.
I love it. And so your workshop is on the 19th. You will share the information in the comments. People can connect with you on LinkedIn and message you to secure their place on that. And you're offering a special price on it at the moment, aren't you? Because it's the first time you're running this workshop in this format. So
Yeah, so this is the first time that I'm running in this format. I've done a lot in college previously,
mm,
but the price is £37 for 1 hour workshop. So if you've got upcoming interviews, or you've been going to job interviews and you weren't passing the interview stage, or you're fed up with those rejections and fed up with figure things your own, I would strongly encourage you to sign up and just see if you can give yourself a chance to shine.
amazing. And so it's been so enjoyable to talk to you today, Edyta,
Same
and
to you.
I would encourage people to sign up for your workshop and the masterclass. Sorry, and I just think it would make such a big difference to people that are kind of coming up to that interview stage and they're like feeling perhaps a bit nervous about it, or that they're going for those interviews and they're not reaching that final offer stage. I think it would just make such a big impact.
Mm, definitely.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it.
So did I.